Hi everybody, my name is Chad. I'm just going to do a video here for you about my Axe Effects Mysterious Ways preset. I'll try and keep this short as possible and keep things moving along. I'll just show you some of the different blocks that are important in my experience for getting the sound. And if you take this preset and it doesn't sound like this from start to hopefully I've got it close enough where you can just make some minor tweaks to some of these areas I'm going to show you, and it'll maybe get you the sound and the feel that you're looking for as well. Because on your guitar, depending on what you're using, it's going to be different. The envelope filter in these the envelope filter settings, right, are important for that sound, and very dependent on the guitar, the pickups you have in it, even the volume knob, right, how much you have it, what you have that volume knob set to, it's going to play a big part. So let's get right into it. There's 3 different filter settings here. There's this is the envelope filter block. This is kind of like a high cut that moves and cuts more highs out as the filter closes, and this wah sound kind of adds a bit in to the string muting. I kind of find gives it that wah sound, whereas I wasn't maybe quite getting it with the filter blocks without it. So these filters, the frequency is gonna this is gonna close as it detects input, right? So it's starting here and it's going in a reverse direction, reverse envelope filter, and this frequency is changing based on these settings in the envelope controller, input 1, and this setting here, the threshold and the gain, are going to be what you may want to tweak for starters for your guitar if you're not using an Edge Stratocaster. If you're using a Strat, it's probably going to be similar, maybe, depending. I play this on the bridge pickup, and I think the volume is generally wide open. I have the tone rolled back, but sometimes the tone changes depending on how old my strings are and things like that, right? So these settings, start here and change these if you're not getting the sound you want. So let me just play this quickly for you so you can hear what I'm getting. A big part of this song I've always found is how how you're hitting the strings, and it's definitely the sound, once you get it close, then you can sort of control it with, your dynamics and your picking. And hopefully these settings, will help you get there. But like I say, you're going to have to try and tweak these here. And so maybe I'll just go back here and just show you quickly what happens when we start moving some of them around to the sound. You get quite a bit different things going on. So this gain isn't where you want it. You're not going to get the big low end whoosh. Sounds like just like a wall block, right? So you crank it up, you get more. You may like that better. It's up to you. I really have to play lighter. I find when I had it on 4 there to control it to where I kind of thought, but I could live with that. So I think I rolled it back to to 3 to get it where, so I could play a little heavier on this one. Just and that's that sort of gave me. As you can see, I'm still able to get it up to here where I want it. With this setting on here, I just play a little harder. If I change this and go down to like a lower threshold, even if I really dig in, I can't get it to move. So I'm not getting the sound, even though I got maybe my filter settings, where I want for different settings. And, if you have your threshold set minus 45, something like that. You can see it really lingers up here longer, based on that setting, right? So it sort of affects the attack and release times in a different way than just setting these would alone, right? So, if you set this to here and say had, maybe an attack time of 100 and a release time of, 20, something like that. Let's see what that. That's not it at all, right? Like you can hear it just closes so fast. Even if we set this, I think in the original A3 it went from 1 to 20. I don't know if that was necessarily milliseconds or not, but so that's kind of what I found. These settings, depending on where you put them, are going to have a different effect, and they're finicky, but it's not like unreal. It doesn't seem like it's within milliseconds that it makes quite the difference, but I find this one works. Maybe if you change this to, something. You kind of get a different swath filter sound on the staccato-y notes when that release is set higher. So just play with it and you'll see. These 4 settings are big. I didn't change these at all. But I'd mess with these here. Hopefully I'm kind of in the ballpark here. Why don't we just start from scratch again? Change presets, go back. And, this, as you turn these on and off, you're going to hear the effect that they have, right? And you may or may not like it. And also just note these levels too. In each of the filters in the wall are set higher and lower, right? So varying degrees of the signal going through them and coming out, and you'll hear them with or without, the sound that you get. So you may have to, I think I added this after, I don't know. I have a switch set to control these and all at the same time. But when you turn them on and off, they, you'll hear how they're set, and you may want to play with that. Try and change the levels in all 3 of them and you get more or less of each one to your liking. You know, if we just leave, I'll kind of show you what this guy is doing here. So it is like it's not showing it in here, but what this would be doing is sweeping back just a bit. So your curve would be coming down here as you dig into it. And that was just kind of a tone thing that I was, you know, hearing, that I didn't like it when it was a lot of high end coming through. After, you know, you dig into that sound and you're trying to get the low part coming out, I liked it better. And you can kind of hear what this guy's doing. And I have this one. This one's not a reverse filter. It's just going forward. So it was kind of, you know, it's just giving, one's going one way and one's going the other, and it kind of seemed to add something else that I had not seen in a Mysterious Ways preset. This block here, this envelope filter, I didn't know, you know, back in, I think the Axe FX Ultra was when I first started trying to make this without the KORG A3, and I didn't know what the A3 wall block was all about really, and how it was getting that sound. And someone knew that it was a reverse filter, and they had posted their Mysterious Ways preset for other people to try out. So I got this idea from them, right? And over the years had tweaked it. And as the filter settings and blocks changed over the Axe FX firmware revisions, you know, things changed. The settings for my guitar were different, and where I wanted this filter to start and end were different. And I'll just show you something in here that's, I've changed this. So normally when you get this block from default, this blue line just goes from this corner down to here. And it's, what happens when you do that is quite different. Even, I'll just start changing a few and you'll hear. There's too much high end right off the bat. It's too shrill for my ears. And you'll hear it just even as you move this, how it's filtering differently, right? If you start down here, different sound. The muted strings don't sound right to me there. So as I move this, it just sounds like the filter's kind of in one spot too much there. It's not right either. And I think so as I move this, getting closer, but you know, every time you kind of revisit these settings, you're like, oh, that could work. I could live with that. And the next time you come to it, it's like, nah, it's not there. So these affect that's sort of where this is starting and ending, right? Regardless of where these may, I shouldn't say that. I think they're tied together in with these. As I move this up, yeah, so you can hear that it's quite a bit different. And that's where I'd probably come up with some setting. You see it sort of, depending where you set this and this, it emphasizes a different filtery kind of sound right off the bat. Yeah, it's, you know, that's what you can hear as you move these around. You get different. And that's closer to where we had it before. And you know, the ending, if you have this set low, then it goes down maybe too low and get too much boominess, right? Which is going to clash with your bass guitar. You may like that too, right? That may be what you're hearing in there. And so play with these, right? This attack time, I'll show you what it does in 0. It's too fast, right? It's too boingy, if that's a good descriptor. So, you know, I had moved that to make it slower because that's what I was hearing. It doesn't quite, the filter doesn't move that quick. So I moved this attack time up, and I found that also affected it versus the attack time in the threshold in that controller envelope, you know, settings, right? And the offset, right, just kind of changes, you know, that start of that filter sound again, right? You may be able to get it, you know, you can get it to go back up to here and be different, or you can change it. But this will all change kind of where that sound of that sweep is, and where it ends up. So you see it's not quite right? And there's kind of different ways to approach this and get the end result. And it's really helpful having this, you know, having this diagram here. You can sort of visualize, you know, as you're doing it. Whereas a long time ago, I don't think we had these back in the standard and ultra, right? This graph to the same extent. I think you had the graph, but this filter maybe didn't move. I can't remember. It's gotten a lot easier to dial the sound in from from what I remember. And we'll just start back here again from the beginning now that we've tweaked things around. So those are important settings. This flanger block, I don't claim this to be an exact version of the A3. When I A-B it to the A3, the flanger block sounds better. And not better, but I haven't been able to get it quite the same as the A3s. And I'm sure you can. I'm sure somebody more knowledgeable about this in these settings, right, could get it there. But when I A-B'd it, the flanger block in the A3 really had a big part of that Mysterious Ways sound just by itself, without these filter blocks, without any of them turned on. In the A3, this flanger block alone sounds like the Mysterious Ways preset with the whoosh and the sort of, it kind of alone has this filtery sound going on. Whereas and you can hear I've kind of got that a bit of it going where it starts at one end, and then at the speed of it, we have set the rate, you know, it's fairly slow. So it's starting, and it's, I don't know, when you kind of watch on the graph on the front screen of the Axe FX, it's got the same kind of graph going as the filter block, where you can see where that sine wave is started, in going up and down, right? And when at the beginning of that sound, when you first pick the strings, you know, it sounds good when it's up there, and by the end of it, it sort of ends down there and then opens back up again. And that's how I have this time set. And this time I think is fairly close to the A3 setting. It correlates exactly the rate, whereas the rest of these don't quite. These ones were similar, I think, in value, but there was a lot more depth to the flanger block in the Axe FX. So these values, I've tweaked this, mixed these settings here, and these ones are also going to have a big part in that sound. The rate should be pretty close, depth on low, and some of the stuff in here I know I've tweaked as well. The high cut, the bass response, it's all part of that, but it's not quite to my liking. So hopefully somebody else can come up with something better. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's that's what I've got going on with the filter blocks and everything. If you want to keep listening here, I'll explain sort of some of the other things that I've just added into this for fun. The pitch block is just here for kind of the 12-string sound. It's not really that convincing. Yeah, it just adds too much high end because it's on your E and B strings, right? They don't actually shift up 12 like whatever you call it. They don't shift on a 12-string guitar, right? So you sort of don't want to hit those, but if you just maybe focused on the low strings, maybe it'll kind of get you, maybe it'll work for you. I don't really use it though. This pan trem was something that I heard in the live version of the Slane Castle Mysterious Waves recording in 2000, and it was sort of pans it from one speaker to the other from the start of that sound to the end. Yeah, it's just kind of something fun to play around with. It's probably not going to work great in a live setting for you. And the other scenes here. So this is the so these are the settings that I found worked for that. And then I also had a solo sound for the slide guitar that kind of works for the ending. And if you probably the best just to listen to my recording of it, you'll hear it. This may work for you, may not. This compressor setting is set for my guitar, and that's sort of the feel that I want for just doing slide notes on that single, the B and E strings, right, to get the big thick sound that he sort of gets with that 12-string guitar, right? He's got right 2 strings, so you kind of get that chorusy sound. And that's in a nutshell this preset. So hopefully that works for you. I think a big part of this that I'm not trying to overlook is that 12-string guitar. From everything I've heard and listened to, it's definitely a large part of what's missing, I think, for all of us who don't have the spare income to afford a Rickenbacker 12-string guitar. I would love to try one to see if that's the finishing touch to this sound, right? That would make the Axe Effect preset just closing. I don't know what Edge is using these days, if he's still going with the KORG A3 or if he's using the Axe Effects for this or what, or both, one night differently. You know how he is. He's from one night to the other, that sound, he's always tweaking and dialing things in and changing depending on, where they're at or which guitars he's using that night, and whether it's wireless or the lead, or so, we're all kind of in this one together. Some nights, he may just decide the A3, that's the sound I'm hearing, and then the next night, maybe he's using the Axe Effects. And I've kind of, if I was maybe in somebody's shoes where I'm just doing this and had somebody to haul around my gear and keep that KORG A3 in the rack for that one song. Maybe why not? But I just, yeah, this is as close as I'm at right now with this preset to this song, and hopefully this gives you a better idea of what some of the things are that that are a big part of what got it this far. So there you have it. Thanks. Hopefully this is helpful a little bit, and let me know if you got any questions else you're wondering about, and maybe I can comment and get back to you. Thanks, everyone.